In this session, we'll talk about concept called as commit and rollback. So what are commit and rollback? So very important concept. So let's take a small example to understand. So you have an Excel, right? You can see an Excel here. You have some data, right? So, and as long as you keep this session open, which means as long as you keep the Excel open, you can still see the data here. You can make changes, whatever, right? You can add a new data here, right? I can add a new entry here, or I can update the existing entry. So all the data manipulations that I'm doing here, right? Now, when you close this session, correct? So when you close this session, there it is asking you whether you want to save it or don't save it, correct? So if you save it, whatever you have put here, you will be able to come back and open this and again see this data, right? On the other hand, if you don't save it, then the data will be lost, correct? So this is normal. Now, what if you're using the Microsoft Online, the 360 version, right? So their Excel, it auto saves. You don't have to save it. So every time what happens is like every few seconds, whatever you type, it gets auto saved. Okay. Now that is what is actually happening at Oracle SQL as well. Okay. So let me just close this. Now, whatever data that we have inserted till now, right? You can see that all this data is actually here. So I have inserted few more data here. Okay. So what is happening is I have signed out. So this is, I think this is the third or fourth day that I am using this. Every time that I complete the work, I sign out. But when log in again, I see this data. Okay. But nowhere I have saved it. Right. So what happens is like, typically, what happens is whenever you make any DML changes, you have to save it. And how do you save it? You save it by a command called as commit. So once you make the necessary changes, you go back and execute this commit statement. All right. So you execute this commit statement. Okay. Now, in all my previous sessions, whatever the data that I have entered, I have deleted the data, I have updated the data, but I have not used commit. Still, the data is there. Why? Because there is a provision where we can, similar to Excel, we can auto commit. So you will have to make a small configuration change. Usually the DBA will do it. So the DBA would say, right, hey, whatever that you are inserting, it will get auto committed. So you don't have to manually put a commit. Okay. So in this Oracle SQL, the configuration is done such a way that whatever you write, it gets auto committed. Okay. So basically, right. So they would basically execute a command called as set auto commit on. So once this set auto commit is on, that means whatever you insert, delete, or update, it gets automatic committed. You don't have to use the commit. Now, if you want to turn this off, you have to use auto commit off, but we do not have the permissions here. So unfortunately, we'll not be able to do it. All right. So typically, when in your projects, this will always be off, and it is the right way to do it, right? Because sometimes you will do something like some you would might have inserted 100 records, but then you will realize, oh no, this is not correct. So you don't want to commit the changes, right? You want to roll back. So you need to have such scenarios in place. So we'll have to use commit if you want to save it. But because we are using the free version which is provided by Oracle, there are some restrictions, but that is fine. So going forward, every time that we insert some statement, delete some statement, we'll use a commit. Okay. So we cannot set this on. So we'll have to use commit manually because that is how it is done in the real world. Okay. Now the second question is, okay, I have done some changes. Now, how do I undo the changes? I have not saved it. I have not committed it. I have 10 records I have not committed. I want to undo, right? For that, we have a command called as rollback. So you just say rollback, and then whatever is not committed will be rolled back. So for example, if I have inserted 10 records, I did a commit, and then after that, I inserted two more records. Now, if I do a rollback, then I will not have 12 records. I will only have 10 records, right? So let's say I have inserted 10 records, then I did a commit. Now, if I select the table, I will still have 10 records. Then I inserted two more records. I did not commit. Then I do a rollback. Then now instead of 10 plus 2, 12 records, I will have 10 records because these are the 10 records that got committed. So this is the concept of rollback and commit. If you want to save your changes, the data DML changes, you have to commit it. If you want to roll back to changes, the not committed changes, again, it will only roll back to a point where it is not committed. Okay. So for that use case, you will use a rollback. So commit and rollback, two simple important concept. Unfortunately, we will not be able to practice it here, but these are like simple statements. Like every time that you want to save a change, do a commit command. If you want to roll back, you just do a rollback. That is all. Not not a big thing. Okay, simple things. I hope this was clear to you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next class.